Hello and welcome back to my walkthrough for FNaF World. It's been 4 years since I've made a video covering this game because on the surface it seems like I made a complete walkthrough, right? And we beat the final boss, we got all the other secret endings. What could be left to do? Well, as you probably already know, about 3 weeks after I finished, quote-unquote, that walkthrough, Scott released Update 2 for this game. I've been wanting to cover it for 4 years now, but never got around to it. But now, the time has finally arrived to do so. And so, in this episode, I'm going to show you how to unlock all 8 new characters. That means in-depth guides for Foxy Fighters, Chica's Magic Rainbow, and Freddy in Space all in the same video to unlock each and every one of the new characters. To make this easier for you, I will also be providing timestamps on screen right now for you, so that if you need help with a particular minigame or character, you can jump around the video with ease. Or if you just want to see me unlock all the characters, then sit back and relax while we continue our FNaF World adventure. After you load into the game, walk down and to the right to leave the spawn area, then head up to this little house right here. Hold down the W key at the front door until you are teleported inside. Once you spawn back into the overworld, walk to the right and talk to Fredbear. When the cutscene finishes, walk up and around this rock to enter the portal to Halloween Land. This is the area where you'll be spending most of your time because this is the hub world from which you can unlock all the characters. This is the point where we're going to start actually playing all the minigames, so I'll flash those timestamps back up on screen again just in case there's a specific character you want to unlock or a specific game you want to start with, but this is the order I'll be playing the games in. So, you can either stick around for the whole video if you want to know how to unlock everyone, or you can skip to a specific timestamp if you need help with a particular section. Whatever you choose, we're gonna get started proper right now. Okay, so first up on our to-do list is to play Foxy Fighters. Now this is where we will unlock Jacko Chica and Nightmare BB. The good news is that you don't have to do anything special for Jacko Chica. She is unlocked naturally by simply playing through the game. Nightmare BB, on the other hand, is a little tougher and requires you to get an A rank on Foxy fighters. Getting an A rank consists of defeating all 150 enemies, as in not letting any of them float off screen before you get the chance to defeat them, and finishing with at least 25 health left. This means you can take a maximum of 5 hits before you invalidate your chance to get the A rank. Alright, now that we know what we have to do, let's actually do it. As a general rule of thumb, it's best to stay to the far left of the screen at all times.
What's this, a space shooter? Holy crap, is that my voice? Voice acting? No! He's gone too far this time! You need to shut this game down!
This first set of enemies is pretty easy to defeat. It almost seems like they automatically move in front of where you're aiming.
Sorry I'm late to the party. Fashionably late, of course. Let's kick this party into high gear!
The second set of enemies is the same as the first. What's more important is that you want to keep an eye out for this purple orb. When you see it, fly into it. It will make the next few fights much easier.
I should have known it was you. You're not even in the right game.
I wasn't fully appreciated in my last outing, but now I'm back to show you my full power.
Well, we're here to take back what's ours. This will be your last cameo.
Since you picked up the purple orb, you can now just stay in one spot and hold down the shift key to defeat all the enemies. So for now, if you see any other orbs flying towards you, completely ignore them. I'll let you know when you should switch. When the gear rats start falling from the sky, you need to keep an eye out for any orange projectiles they shoot at you. You can still stay in the same general spot for the most part, but when you see something orange flying at you, you need to quickly fly out of the way. At this point, if you see a red orb flying around, move toward it to collect it.
Barrel roll! Sorry, I'm not sure what came over me.
Now you have a laser as your primary weapon. It's okay if you don't have it for this encounter, your previous weapon will work just fine, but you definitely want to get it soon, so keep an eye out for a red orb. For this encounter, if you have the laser, you can basically just let the gear rats fall onto it and they'll be defeated. Just make sure to keep an eye out for orange projectiles and don't let the gear rats reach the bottom of the screen and despawn. Remember, you need to defeat every single enemy and it will not count if they despawn. This next encounter is more of the same. Both CHICA'S and gear rats go down in one hit from the laser. All you have to do is watch out for the orange projectiles and prevent the enemies from flying off screen or falling to the bottom before you can defeat them yourself. Chop and Roll is a bit tougher, but so long as you keep your laser trained on him the whole time, you should be able to take him down before he fires any orange projectiles at you. But still keep an eye out for them, and if you see them flying in your direction, make sure to dodge them. Again, just hug the left wall, keep firing your laser, and dodge those orange projectiles.
Fools! Turn back now and I'll spare your lives. Or more likely I'll just chase you around and kill you anyway.
The only thing you have to worry about here are the orange projectiles, as usual. He fires them out in bursts, but the gaps between the individual objects are actually just big enough for you to fit between. So watch the clump of orange as he fires it out, then squeeze through the gaps as they appear. They do come at you pretty fast though, so you need to react quickly in order to not get hit.
At least I went down in a blaze of glory.
He also launches missiles at you, but the gaps between them are so large there's nothing to worry about. Remember, you can take up to 5 hits and still get an A rank, so don't be afraid of messing up a few times. Just don't get hit more than 5 times or else you can't get Nightmare BB.
Impossible! You haven't seen the last of me! Oh, actually, yes. This is the last you'll see of me.
Other than that, there isn't much specific advice that I can give here. Just keep an eye on the orange projectiles so you're ready to slip between the gaps, and keep that laser trained on Souldozer to defeat him.
Great job, guys. Gals. I see the processing core. Let's blow it up and get out of here.
If you took down all 150 enemies and took 5 or less hits, you will have earned your A rank and unlocked Nightmare Balloon Boy. This will probably take you a few attempts, so don't be discouraged if you don't get it immediately. Now that you've unlocked Nightmare Balloon Boy, all you have to do is just play through the game again normally to unlock Chica. The only thing to note here is that if you get another A rank, you won't unlock Chica, so you have to get a B or below. Now this might mean that you have to intentionally take a few extra hits to ensure you don't get an A rank, but once you play through again normally and earn yourself anything lower than an A rank, you will have unlocked Chica. Now it's time for the most infamous minigame in the entirety of Update 2, Chica's Magic Rainbow. This is the game where we can unlock Animdude, or Scott Cawthon as I'll be referring to him as, and Mr. Chipper, and I'm gonna be blunt about this one. This is hard. Really hard. It's probably going to take you many attempts and a lot of frustration, but I promise you, it will be worth it in the end. Plus, I'm here providing a step-by-step guide on each individual section of this minigame. So, let's get started. For the first trap, you want to press and hold the Z key while moving right when Chica collides with this flower to jump straight up. Next, as you approach this flower, you're going to trigger another trap. As soon as you see the petals start flying at you, immediately hit the left arrow and walk back until the area is clear. Then you can safely walk toward the checkpoint. From here, you want to jump straight up and onto the left side of this platform. Then, without moving, jump straight up and move slightly to the right once you're almost above this cloud on the left. But don't move too far right. Moments before you're about to collide with this petal, you want to hit the left arrow to move backwards. You can now safely fall back toward the ground. Here's what that looks like without the slow motion. Now we're going to do the same thing again with the next platform. Jump up and land on the left side of the platform, then jump straight up until Chica's head is about to leave the top of the screen, then move slightly to the right in midair to activate the next trap. After it's activated, you can hit the left arrow and start to fall back to the ground. Just make sure you also move right so you don't accidentally land on this petal. This is the first tricky jump in the game. What you basically have to do here is move right to activate the trap, tap the Z key to do a very small jump, then immediately move to the left, and then immediately move back to the right. Without slow motion, this is what that move looks like. I hit the right arrow key to activate it, then immediately tap both the Z key and left arrow key at approximately the same time before moving back to the right. Unfortunately, this is just kind of something you have to get a feel for. Try it a couple times and observe what happens. You might be jumping too high or not moving to the left fast enough. Just watch yourself as you play and compare it to this footage. If you keep getting hit, look for differences between your gameplay and my gameplay. But other than that, the only thing I can say is you just keep trying until you get a feel for the controls. Fortunately, this next one is very easy. After you survive that trap, hold down the right arrow key and don't let go. You will be running between two of the rainbow's laser beams, and if you start to get too close to the one on the right, all you have to do is temporarily let go of the right arrow key before pressing it again. If you've been keeping a good pace, you will have enough wiggle room to escape the next trap. Walk past this flower to activate the next trap, then immediately walk left just far enough to avoid this single petal, then walk to the right again. Crossing the checkpoint will force the rainbow to stop firing her lasers. So this next part is a major pain in the rear end. You need to make it past these first two butterflies before the rainbow starts firing lasers at you. The easiest way to do that is to wait until the butterflies start moving towards you, then sneaking past them between their laser bursts. The problem is that waiting for this cycle can be rather frustrating because if you wait too long, the rainbow will start firing lasers early and you won't make it past the butterflies. The best advice I can give you to ensure that you get an optimal cycle is to wait about a second or so after the butterflies reach the leftmost point of their path movement. Then deliberately step in front of their lasers to reset the rainbow's laser timer and respawn back at the checkpoint. From this point, move forward slightly but stay to the left of the butterflies. When they start to move back to the left, dash past the first two butterflies as soon as they finish firing their lasers at you. If you've timed this correctly, you will have successfully made it past the butterflies and be positioned safely between two of the rainbow's lasers. Now all you have to do is tap the right arrow key so you move just slightly enough to stay ahead of this laser, but not too fast such that you run into this laser. If you're still on a good cycle, you can now slip past this butterfly after it finishes firing its laser at you and still stay within the rainbow's lasers. You still have to make it past two more butterflies, but at this point the rainbow will stop firing its lasers. That doesn't mean you have all the time in the world to mess around, though. Step between the butterflies before they fire their lasers, then after they're done shooting lasers, you can make a break for the checkpoint. You don't have to worry about anything once you have a clear shot to the checkpoint, because as long as you activate it before any lasers reach you, you will have cleared the section. Walk to the right, and when you reach this flower, stop moving into a full jump straight up without pressing any of the arrow keys. When Chica is about to be completely above the cloud, start moving to the right again to trigger the fence trap. Next, inch your way forward to around this point where Chica is one step away from overlapping the tree in the background. From this point, do another full jump straight up and then move slightly to the right once Chica's hand is about to move above the cloud. The instant you see the fence and flower activate, move to the left so you don't get hit by the petal, then fall back down to the ground. You're not on the clear yet though. When you get to the point where the back of Chica's head is in line with the left side of this tree in the background, perform a full jump straight up and start moving to the right once you make contact with the cloud. Here's the full section without any slow motion.
And call me in the morning.
Repeatedly tap the right arrow so that you move up enough to stay in line with the right side of the rainbow. She should start firing her lasers before you cross past the flowers. You want to be slightly to the right of the tooth on the right. If you're in this general area, you should safely fall between two of her lasers. Perform a full jump straight up and tap the right arrow. Do not hold it down. Tap it just enough to trigger the first set of fences. Then fall back down, tap the right arrow again just enough to cause the second set of fences to trigger, then move forward until you're in line with this flower right here. From this point, perform a full jump straight up and tap the right arrow until the next set of fences triggers. While standing in between these two flowers, perform a full jump straight up and hold down the right arrow so you almost land on the checkpoint upon falling back down to the ground. Walk to the right until you hit this tree. Once you cross a certain point, giant wooden logs are going to start flying at you, so you have to anticipate it. After you hit the tree, immediately start walking left. Don't even wait for the sound effect to play. Anticipate that it's going to. If you don't hear it, that means you didn't trigger the log, so you have to move slightly further ahead when you try again. Once you know the logs are headed your way, leap up onto this platform and do a full vertical jump up and to the right to get over the logs. Next, walk to the right, and right before you hit this first flower, press the Z key while still moving right to escape both the fence and the logs. Land in between these two sets of flowers, then leap up onto the far left edge of this platform. From here, perform a full vertical leap, then when you're about to reach the top of the screen, move right to fly over the logs and land on the checkpoint to finish the section. Here's the full thing without any slow motion. Alright, you've made it to the home stretch. The number one rule of this section is don't stop moving. Jump once when you reach the first set of flowers to distract the eyeballs, and then jump again around this point. Unfortunately, I don't have any easy landmarks for this one. The best I can say is to just jump at a point where it looks like Chica is essentially gliding up the back of the tree in the distance. That's just kind of something you have to judge for yourself, but a general rule of thumb is when you're partially under the tree, but not fully under it. Now then, once you've made this first jump, land in between these two sets of flowers, and then perform another full jump between these two individual flowers. From that point, your next full jump will be between the 4th and 5th fence posts from the right. Walk forward just enough to trigger the trap, then move to the left just enough to avoid the pedal, and then immediately jump to distract the eyeballs. Keep jumping to distract them and make a break for the final flag. If you had a perfect first run, you'll unlock Mr. Chipper on your first try for completing the minigame in under 3 minutes. However, I have a feeling you probably didn't get that lucky, so if you take more than 3 minutes to beat the minigame, you will unlock Scott Cawthon instead. So yes, either way, you do have to play this minigame again, but you now have an in-depth guide detailing what you have to do to get through every section of that minigame. And from this point, the only advice I can give you is that practice makes perfect. Okay, now that we've made it through the rage-inducing nightmare of a minigame that is Chica's Magic Rainbow, let's instead play a nice, easy minigame. We're gonna play FOXY.EXE, which is indisputably the easiest of all the Update 2 minigames. You can find it towards the bottom of the map and to the left next to Nightmarionne. To start out the game, double-click the icon on the desktop.
Listen to my voice, and you will find the key.
For this first part, you don't have to do anything special. Just walk to the right until you're teleported to the next level.
Find the key. Listen to my voice, and you will find the key. Listen to my voice, and you will find the key. Listen to my voice, and you will find the key. Listen to my voice, and you will find the key. Listen to my voice, and you will find the key. Listen when you can see, how fast can you flee?
In this section, occasionally a Freddy sprite will magically spawn in front of you and the jump scare sound effect will play. When you see Freddy appear, walk to the left until you see him fade out of the scene, then resume walking to the right until you reach the next level. You'll see this process in action in a second here.
How fast can you flee? When you can see, how fast can you flee?
If Freddy appears again, just repeat that process until he goes away again.
See, how fast can you flee? you can see, how fast can you flee?
Now for the final level of this minigame. In this level, cat sprites will float across the screen. The only way to protect yourself from the cats is by hiding in front of these blue walls. Whenever you see a cat coming towards you, fall back until you reach one of these blue walls and wait for the cats to pass you by.
Through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness. Be sure your step through the heart of madness.
For completing that incredibly easy minigame, you unlock Nightmarionne. Now, for the final minigame of Update 2, we're going to play Freddy in Space. This one has 3 different characters that we can unlock. One for completing the game with anywhere from 1 to 8 cupcakes, one for completing the game with all 9 cupcakes, and one for completing the game with 0 cupcakes. We're going to unlock all 3 of these characters in 3 separate runs. One run collecting 9 cupcakes, one collecting 8 cupcakes, and one collecting 0 cupcakes. First, I will provide detailed commentary for how to fight the enemies without collecting any cupcakes, and then I'll go back through the game and show you the locations for all 9 cupcakes. So, let's get started. First encounter is super easy, just stand here and press the X key to fire your weapon at the enemy. One thing that I should make clear now is that you will fire your weapon much faster by repeatedly pressing the X key than you will by simply holding it down. That knowledge will be essential for defeating the final boss. Anyway, wait for the turret to fire a shot at you, and then leap over this block and hide up against the left wall. Then wait for it to fire another shot and jump up and to the left to drop down into the next section. Stay as far back as you can while you fire this next set of enemies. Then wait for the laser to fire a shot, move between them, and then move past the second one after it fires another shot. Now we have a tougher enemy to take down. Simply jump using the Z key while shooting. Next, stay to the left of this pit to avoid the fire from the turrets and fire from a distance. Then completely ignore the turrets and just run to the next section. Wait for the laser to fire, jump over the block, then jump and shoot to defeat the big robot. Don't jump too high or else you might get hit by a projectile. Again, jump and shoot, but make sure to stay directly below the turret so it can't hit you while you deal with the big robot. Next, simply jump and shoot at the big robot. Once he's down, quickly jump up and move to the right to avoid the turret. Then follow behind the little robot as it moves to the right and shoot while you move. Now, you can either jump and shoot from here with no danger of getting hit, or you can hop up as the little robot is moving to the right and spam the X key until it's destroyed. Drop all the way down the hole, and you should know how to deal with these guys. Keep your distance from the little guys and jump and shoot for the big guys. For the lasers, wait for it to stop firing, jump over the block, hide against the left wall, then rinse and repeat this process until you make it past all the lasers. Wait for the turret to fire at you, then sprint past it to drop into the bubble section. Okay, now is when you need to start playing super cautious because of these floating things, I'll call them floaters, are going to fly all over the place and catch you off guard the most out of all enemies. To start off with, stand up against this block and shoot down any floaters that you can reach. If none of them fly in front of you, that's fine, but usually 1 or 2 will be perfectly lined up for you to shoot them down early. Don't worry about the projectiles from the blob, you can't be hit by them from here. Once you have a clear enough gap, wait for the blob to fire a shot at you, then leap over the block and drop down here. Now use the same jump and shoot technique you used against the big robots earlier against all the blobs in the area. Pay attention to where I'm standing when I jump and shoot to find the best place to do this from. Unfortunately, there really is no concrete strategy for taking out the floaters because of how unpredictable their path movement is. The best advice I can give is to pay attention to how they move, then find a good spot to wait and shoot from. Anyway, after you take out the blobs, you can safely stand back here and take out the green tentacle from a distance. Then stand under this block and spam the X key to take out the blob before it can fire a shot at you. For the next blob, get as close as you can and spam the X key again, but if he fires a shot at you, run to the left and jump over the projectile so you don't take a hit. Also keep an eye out for any floaters so they don't mess up your game. I took more damage than I wanted to from these floaters, but I wanted to make sure I took them out now so I didn't have to deal with them later. For the next set of tentacles, don't jump into them like I did. Stay back and just jump and shoot to take them out. Just keep an eye out for these pesky floaters. This blob may not cause many problems for you, but it's better safe than sorry. Just stand up against this wall and jump and shoot to take it out. Ignore the area over to the right and just fall down the hole. If you get unlucky, there might be a group of floaters waiting for you, and unfortunately there's not much you can do about that. As soon as you land down here, turn to the right and spam the X key to defeat the blob. You can destroy the tentacles with ease. As you may have noticed, they cannot do damage to you unless you directly jump into them. Drop down into this hole, stay to the left, and jump and shoot to take out this blob safely. It's a little weird to look at since the screen keeps moving back and forth, but it's safer to take out the blob from down here than up there. Then you can jump over to where the blob previously was and jump and shoot to take out the other two blobs. Once they're down, you can fall down through the hole. Spam X to take out the blob before it can fire at you, then jump and shoot in between when the blob is firing projectiles. Again, jump and shoot from on top of this block to defeat the blob. For the first couple of blocks, you can just jump between them with no enemies in your path. Once you get to this point, stop here and jump and shoot to take out the green tentacle, then continue on your way. The annoying part about this climb up the platforms is the grand amount of floaters in your way. What I recommend you do is that you try to jump past them, because waiting for them to fly in front of you so you can easily shoot them down is often more trouble than it's worth in a limited space on these tiny platforms. Instead, pay attention to which direction they're moving and jump past them once they pass by so you don't risk jumping into them by mistake. Again, there isn't really a concrete strategy here since the floaters always have different movement paths on each playthrough, so the best I can say to help is to just pay attention to how they move and jump past them based on that. Unfortunately, you're not getting past these floaters. Fortunately, they're essentially trapped into bouncing back and forth in a very small area, so just keep your distance and spam the X key to take out as many of them as you can. Once you make it to this point, again, the best I can recommend is to pay attention to how the floaters are moving and try to jump past them based on that. You'll see I make a couple of mistakes here, and it didn't help that I got really bad path movement floaters. When you get here, completely ignore the enemies to the right, grab the jump power up, and then start to fall back down the hole. Don't just jump straight down immediately, go down one step at a time so you don't get caught off guard by any floaters that may be waiting for you at the bottom. Now it's time to do some backtracking. Head back through the tunnel, leap back up here, then carefully drop down the hole. Again, do this one step at a time so you don't fall straight into floaters hiding at the bottom. Okay, so while I'm making my way back to the first part of the level, let's talk about health. The most concrete strategy for dealing with the final boss revolves around having enough health left for you to deliberately take hits. What I mean by that is that there's a spot you can crouch at to completely avoid most of the things which are attacking you, while simultaneously being able to do damage to the boss at close range. The only problem is that you will still be attacked by a laser from above, and there's nothing you can do to stop that. That's why we've been very careful about how much health we've lost, because we need to have enough hit points left so we can deliberately take damage without losing all our health. I currently have 53 health left, and that is more than enough to survive the final boss. I would say that the minimum health you need to have going into the final boss would be anywhere from 27 to 30. If your health is any lower than that, you'll probably lose all of it in the final section. If you don't have that much health currently, there is a chance that you'll be able to regain some lost health in that next section, which is also the last section before the final boss. However, it's not a guarantee that you'll be able to replenish your health, so keep that in mind. Anyway, when you return to this point, jump to the upper right section here and then climb up these platforms. When you reach the top, enter the portal to arrive at the last section before the final boss. We're going to take out all these turrets. Stand slightly to the left of the turret, then jump and shoot to take it out. For the next one, jump up and to the right as it fires at you and spam the X key while you do it. Then you can do a simple jump and shoot technique to take out the third turret. To avoid being shot at by the giant robot, stand underneath its weapon so that it fires over your head like I'm doing here. Then just spam the X key to take it out. You know the drill, jump and shoot to take out the turrets. After sneaking past the lasers, you have a judgment call to make. If the giant robot is far away enough so it won't shoot at you, hang back here and jump and shoot at the security turret. If it's close enough to attack you, hide under its weapons again and you should be in a position where the turret can't hit you. So just spam the X key to take out the robot, then once it's down you can safely jump and shoot at the turret. While sneaking past these lasers, you want to hope that you can stand safely between two lasers while hiding under the robot's weapons. If you don't get that lucky, it's okay to take a couple hits from the lasers if you have to step into one of them to hide from the robot and shoot it down. The robot is a much bigger threat, so it's worth it. To take out these things, jump and shoot as they move towards you, then when they're about to hit you, wait for them to fire their lasers and then sneak underneath them. Then start jumping and shooting from the other side. It's an incredibly tedious process to do, but we want to take out all of these enemies. Even if you don't get any health from doing it, you still don't want to try to sneak past them all. Just keep your distance, keep shooting at them, and eventually you'll take them all out. When the area is clear, that means you're approaching the final boss. Pay very close attention to where I go here. Walk until Freddy is in front of this square in the background, then press the down arrow to crouch and start mashing the X key as fast as you possibly can. Your success here is dependent on how much health you had left, and how fast you can press the X key. The only thing that should be damaging you here is the red laser on top. If you're getting hit by the blue projectiles, you can adjust your positioning slightly until you're in a safe space. Other than that, just mash the X key until the final boss is defeated. You'll notice, I was approximately one hit away from losing all my health. And if you manage to make it through this minigame without any upgrades, then going back through it with all the upgrades will be a piece of cake. Now then, let's go back and get all the cupcakes. At the very start of the level, drop down this hole, wait for the turret to fire a shot at you, then jump up over the blocks to grab the cupcake and pin yourself up against this wall so the turret can't get you. Now, you can take the time to shoot down the turret, but I found that to be more trouble than it's worth, so I recommend just jumping up to get out of this section. Walk under this laser after it fires at you, then jump through this fake wall to grab your second cupcake. For cupcake number 3, don't drop all the way down this gap. Instead, stop on this block right here, then leap up and to the left from this point to enter the area with your third cupcake. While moving left, you can pretty much run and gun, which means you can shoot down the enemies without stopping moving, but on your way back, I recommend shooting down the turret just to be safe. After the initial encounter in the bubble section, jump over this gap, do not fall down it. Then defeat the enemies to the right here, and then you can jump up and grab the cupcake. When you start climbing up these platforms, you'll see a little area over to the left side of the screen. Jump against the left wall right here, then you'll enter this hidden section where you'll find your next cupcake. After you obtain the jump power-up, return to this point, and instead of jumping back up, head to the left. Defeat all the enemies, and then leap up over this wall to find cupcake number 6. Just 3 more to go. The game wants you to jump up and to the right, but instead of doing that, we're going to jump up and to the left and go all the way back to the start of the game. Once you get there, leap up and to the right to get over this wall, and you'll find your 7th cupcake right here. Now you can jump up here to start climbing these platforms. When you reach the 3rd one, jump up and to the left from that point to enter a hidden area with your 8th cupcake. Now this is the point where you have a choice to make. If you want to go for an 8 cupcake run and unlock Jacobani, simply proceed to the right and defeat the final set of enemies and final boss. If you want to go for a 9 cupcake run and unlock Purple Guy, leap up and to the left to obtain the final cupcake. We're going to unlock Purple Guy first, but you can do this in any order you'd like. Once you get the last cupcake, absolutely nothing can stop you. Hold down the X key as you move through the level, then repeatedly jump up and down so you can hit the turrets as well. Then when you get to the final boss, you can basically just stand still and press the X key. So long as you have a decent amount of health, you'll defeat the boss before anything can stop you. When you return to this point on your 8 cupcake run, simply ignore the cupcake in the top left and proceed straight to the final boss. You'll be almost as strong as you were with 9 cupcakes, so none of the enemies should give you a problem so long as you hold down the X key. You'll notice I only collected 7 cupcakes here, and still the enemies couldn't do anything against me. And there you go, we have now unlocked all 8 Update 2 characters. Jacko Bonnie, Jacko Chica, Animdude, or Scott Cawthon, Mr. Chipper, Nightmare BB, Nightmarionne, Coffee, and Purple Guy are all now a part of our team. I'll talk about the best party, chip, and bite setup for facing off against the final boss in the next episode, but that is all for now. And here's the good news, the hardest part's done. Actually unlocking all these characters is way harder than making your way through the final area of the game. So if you made it this far, you are in good shape. But that is sadly the end of this episode. The final episode will release tomorrow at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to tune in then for tips on beating the final area of the game and the final boss. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for next time, and I hope to catch you all tomorrow for the finale of FNaF World. Goodbye!